So I'm Jermaine Pascall, and I am a new author. Just published two new publications within the latter part of last year, 2016, and the middle of this year, 2017. Um, Basically, I'm middle-aged Caribbean-born public servant, Trinidad and Tobago, and I'm just happy to be on this journey to give myself this voice through writing, to find an opportunity to share ideas and develop a new form of communication for myself, through my writing. Um, in terms of the books that I've put out, uh, the first book was a partial memoir, some of myself infused with some of my ideas. you know um, at this stage in life, you get to a point where you have certain experiences and there's this voice inside that's telling you that, you need to share, you need to speak, you need to say something about what you see and what you've experienced. So I think that's what led me to really writing. That's what really inspired me to put pen to paper, or nowadays to go on the computer and put out work that's geared towards sharing with the public certain insights, certain uh, experiences, certain points. So I believe that's me, and that's how I got to this point of putting out publications. Well, I started with non-fiction because for me that was the most natural fit. Um, I guess my writing style mimics something about my reading preference. I was always a person who preferred non-fiction to fiction. I was always drawn to biographies. So when I started writing, I started to do the more straightforward non-fiction reported type style. So it seemed natural to me to start off with a partial memoir, mix a little bit of myself in with some of the ideas and philosophies that I wanted to share. And I came up with a really nice product, which is a kind of inspirational, helpful guide to show people how to care for themselves and how to take themselves a little more seriously. I love the reviews that I got from the book. I love that people received what I was putting out in the book, and for a writer, that's always rewarding. So yeah, that's why I started. The second book was just a continuation of that, but in a different genre. So far, what I've done is every successive product that I put out, I kind of changed the genre because one, I'm still trying to find myself in my writing, and two, I'm still enjoying writing itself in different genres. So my second book was poetry. It was beautiful. The reviews that I got for it was really fantastic from my perspective, and I'm really happy with the two pieces. And I continue to do work. I'm excited about what I'm working on at present. But so far, for the public, there are two books out there. The first one being Living Through 2016, Beyond Fiction. The other being Dialogue, right? From mine's heart to yours. So that's where I'm at with that. For my first book, it would definitely have to be adults and young minds. When I say young minds, I mean like teenagers who really searching for that mirror to see themselves in other people, right? That would be a really good help for them if they would take the time to really internalize it. And of course, adults, because some of the things I spoke about in my book are things that happen in everyone's lives. I spoke about dealing with death in the family. I spoke about roles and responsibilities. We spoke about um, different challenges that people face where you're just trying to cope with everyday life and you're trying to strip away what is real from what is just noise in the background. So um, definitely adults and young minds, young developing minds as a niche. I don't know if I can see that my writing was a direct consequence of particular authors, but I did say before that I like biographies. You know, I appreciate real people, I appreciate real stories. And once I got to the point where I wanted to be part of the storytelling, you know, it seemed to come natural for me. I mean, some of the biographies that really were big ones. I mean, Long Road to Freedom by Nelson Mandela, and that was a collaborative effort. Um, the usual books that were around when I was coming up, like the Life of Malcolm X. I remember reading the autobiography of Sidney Poitier. So for me, it wasn't that the authors were commercial authors, but it was just real people telling their story. So it seemed like a fitting place for me to start, as a real person telling my story. Um, there's a lot more of the story to be told, but I just shared what I thought would bring perspective to what I wanted to see. So that's how it starts for me. Well, it's interesting that, I mean, after publishing and you're going through the process of marketing, you look internationally at what's happening. But I was pleasantly surprised to find that there are a lot of communities here in Trinidad and they try to be very active, right? I recently got into contact with quite a few of them on Twitter. And the relationship is new, so I'm learning and I'm trying to see exactly how broad the local arena is for authors. Um, I guess it's an exciting journey. It started late, but I'm enjoying it. Well, there is the main source, which is online. There's Amazon.com. Also, my publisher is Author House, so the Author House bookstore, the book is available there. There's also Barnes and Noble. Um, these are all sources for the ebook, and of course, depending on what kind of device you have or what kind of app you have, you choose which company you would go with. Um, Other than that, Amazon also makes the physical copy available if you want to do that. Locally here in Trinidad, there's one bookstore that I was able to have the book available at. That's RIK Bookstore. I believe it can be requested at all RIK bookstores, but the book itself might be in South Trinidad, San Fernando. Um, Other than that, I could be contacted uh, through my Facebook page. I have an author's page on Facebook that is attached to my account at Pascall on Facebook. Also, my email address, you can send me an email. So these are different ways that the book can be made available.